Tonight, I'm taking a shot at 5-10. This game had it all. The $20 straddle gets on. I play a $3,000 pot with only second pair. The duck bounty game is on the entire night. And there's a $10,000 stack at our table. I'm Dookie Betts, and let's turn some sand into gold. We start the session just like all other poker sessions start. We head over to the cage, we grab some chips, and we head into the poker room. Now typically at Gate City, all the games that run are 8-handed. However, all the guys playing in this game were nice enough to slide in an extra seat for me and allow the game to run 9-handed. So that either means I'm a giant whale, or everybody's excited to make the vlog. Either way, it seems like I'm gonna have my work cut out for me tonight. We hop into the game for the max of $1,500. We're currently playing 2-5-5 with the mandatory third $5 blind. It's definitely an interesting structure, filled with a lot of interesting people at this table. We're also playing the duck game. It's pretty much just the bounty game. If you win 3 hands in a row, everyone at the table pays you $25. If you win 4 hands in a row, everybody pays you $50. This game causes a lot of action, causes a lot of people in the game to just lose their mind to get their ducks, myself included. And it's definitely a lot of fun. So if you haven't played the duck game, I definitely recommend it. Or don't do the duck game. It's actually pretty horrible sometimes. Playing 2-5-5 here, I peel pocket jacks in early position and bump things up here to $35 to go. Seems like there's not a whole lot of respect for my early position raise here because we end up going 5 ways here. Jason in the small blind announces that he's going to let me off easy here, which is very nice of him. I appreciate that, Jason. And before the flop can come, I crack the oldest joke in the book. It's a very original one. It's heads up, right? Going super multi-way here, we get a horrible flop for pocket jacks of king, queen, something. I forget the other card. It ends up checking all the way around here. I really don't want to be doing much betting with this hand. We're not going to get called by worse, and we're not going to fold out better. We're 5 ways. Really doesn't make any sense to bet here, I don't think. The turn comes a relative brick, and now Jason leads out in the small blind for a pretty chunky size. I think we have a pretty easy fold here with pocket jacks, so we just throw it away, lose $35 on our first hand, and we're not off to the best start, but really not the most interesting hand ever, so it is what it is. Let's move on to hand number 2. Hand number 2 was an absolute tragedy, and it had a lot to do with these things right here. This is a rubber duck. And in this hand, our friend Brett, 2 to our left, has 3 ducks, meaning he's already won $200 on the duck game, and now he's going for the 4th duck here, which means if he wins this hand, everyone pays him $50, aka he'll make $400 on this hand. We're now playing 2-5-10 with the mandatory 10, and it's pretty standard practice in these spots to just limp in and make it as difficult as possible for the person with multiple ducks to try and win the hand. Obviously, if you go multi-way, it's a lot harder to win as opposed to going heads up or 3 ways or whatnot. So when we see the under the gun player limp in for $10, we're not very surprised at all. When it folds over to us, we peel pocket queens and immediate excitement, joy, just feeling good about this one. Now a little bit about Brett. I've seen Brett do some crazy shit to get ducks. He goes for it, and he's pretty wild. You could call him a maniac. He is a very good player, but he's crazy. He's just completely and utterly insane. So we're going to trap here. We flick in the call, and we're pretty much guaranteed a raise from Brett at this point, I think. So when it folds over to Brett, no surprise at all when he puts in the raise to $60. And now, interestingly enough, the button player who's short jams all in for $503. It's going to fold all the way back around to me here, and we have a decision to make. Folding is out of the question. Never folding this hand with the $10 straddle on for 50 bigs. The money is going in the middle. It's just a matter of how I want to do it. I started the hand with about $1,400. So I'm going to be playing a rather large side pot with Brett here, I think. I have 2 options. I can just call and lay the trap and allow Brett to come in with a lot of dead hands because he's super incentivized to play for the 4th duck. Or I can just jam and try and get all the money in now. The argument for that would be Brett might just call anyways because of the bounty that he has and the pot odds or whatnot. After a bit of consideration, I decide to just call the 500 here and allow Brett to come in with a lot of hands that are going to be 20-30% equity against us here. We flick in the call. Brett tanks for a bit and then eventually decides to call behind. With $1,500 in the middle, we get a flop of King 10-7 with 2 clubs. So it's not great because there is one overcard to our queens. However, I'm pretty much prepared to die with this hand against Brett. I start the action with a check, and he quickly checks things back. The turn comes the 8 of clubs, bringing in the flush draws, but I think he would always be barreling those on the flop. I check for a second time, just giving him a bit more rope to go ahead and blast here. After a bit of thought, he fires out for $400. I have about 900 bucks in my stack. Like I said, I started the hand with 1,400. And, I'm all in. He snaps me off. We run it one time. There's a $3,300 pot in the middle. The river comes the jack of clubs. Not great for us. Any club is going to beat us here. We roll over our hand. He rolls over jack 8 with no club. And we're going to lose a $3,300 pot here. So this one doesn't feel great. When it's all said and done, we ended up getting all the money in with pretty good odds here. He had 9 outs to improve and beat us here, and he got there on the river. So it is what it is. This one just stings. Super large pot. We're going to shake that one off. We're going to rebuy for another $1,500, and we're now in the game for 3,000 bucks. All thanks to this thing right here. This next hand's a fun one. We're playing a PLO double board bomb pot. We're all going to throw in 15 bucks and head straight to 2 flops here. We get a pretty reasonable hand here of Queen 4-7-5 with spades to the queen and hearts to the 7. On the first board, we get a flop of Queen 7-4, so we flop 3 pair over there as well as a flush draw. On the second board, we get King Jack Deuce with 2 hearts. Pretty good stuff here. We flop 2 pair as well as flush draws on both boards. It's going to end up checking all the way over to us here, and I really don't see any reason to bloat this pot. We have a pretty decent hand on one board and then just a 7 high flush draw on the other, so we decide to check things back and play some pot control here. The turns on both boards are quite spicy as we get hearts on both boards, so we improve to flush here, and for a second time the action's going to check all the way over to us. I think we have a pretty easy bet here. We now have a value hand on both boards. There's not many hearts left in the deck, so effectively we have the 4th nuts on both boards here, I'm pretty sure. We lose to ace-x of hearts, 10x of hearts, and 8x of hearts. That's about it. We fire out pretty big here. We go pot. We go $120. It's going to end up folding all the way over to Jason, who's in middle position here, and he's going to pot things right back on up to $480. And it's going to fold back over to us. I think we have a pretty easy fold here. We're going to get scooped by a couple other bigger flushes, and I really don't think he's going to be potting here with anything worse than that. So after a bit of consideration, we decide to throw our hand into the muck. We're going to lose $135 on this hand. Jason flips over the ace of hearts here, and yeah, just see for yourself. Come on, show the other heart. Just that one. Wow. Nice hand. So yeah, pretty savage bluff out of Jason here, just turning the ace of hearts into a bluff. Honestly, really smart on his end, really good play, and just not a whole lot we could do here. We just got to tip our cap here and move on. This next hand is a pretty quick one, but I felt like it needed to get included. We're playing 2-5-10 here, where the small blind just posted all of the blinds. It's going to fold over to an early position player who flicks in $30. This player has 1 duck, so he's going to be opening a tiny bit wider than he should, I think. Now it's going to fold over to the low jack player who puts in the call. I think if the low jack player ever had a hand he wanted to play a big pot with, he would probably 3-bet here. And I think this early position open is pretty weak given that he has one of the ducks. So when I peel ace jack offsuit, I come in with a 3-bet here to $125. It's going to fold back over to the early position player, and he's just going to fold here, which is honestly music to my ears. I think if he put in the call here, we would have a tricky time navigating this one post. And eventually the low jack player, who originally just flatted, comes in with the call here. So we're now playing a 3-bet pot with a double flatter, so should be a fairly easy spot to navigate. And things come pretty easy for us here when we get a flop of ace king deuce 2-tone board. Low jack player is going to check it on over to us, and I think we have a pretty easy continue here. This is a board that's just going to mash our range for the most part, so we're going to find the range bet here for $100. And after not too much consideration, our buddy Joe in the low jack throws his hand into the muck. So really not an interesting hand at all, but this was the first hand that I won on the session. We're about an hour and a half in, and we finally won our first hand, so it took a bit longer than we would have liked, but it feels good nonetheless. Filming these voiceovers with the camera running the whole time is honestly pretty weird. I have a skylight over here and then some natural lighting through my windows, but it's getting dark out, and I honestly don't really know what to do. It's kind of golden hour right now. That's why I threw the cowboy hat on, so... Anyways, this next one's a fun one. We peel queens under the gun. We open things up to $30 over the $10 straddle. We see our friend Brett flicking the call, and then the big blind as well as the straddle come in behind. So we're gonna go 4 ways with pocket queens here. We get a flop that's, I'd say, above average. We get queen 9-9, so we flop top boat. The blinds check it over to me, and I think I'm just gonna check this one back. We have a player behind playing monkey in the middle, just gonna be checking. I think Brett is gonna be stabbing here a lot for what it's worth. We decide to check, and Brett unfortunately checks behind. The turn rolls off the deuce of clubs, which now brings in the front door flush draw. Aside from that, it's a relative brick. The big blind's going to check once again, and our friend Kevin in the straddle is now going to fire out here for 1/2 pot. He goes $60, and we have a decision to make. I think raising is absolutely acceptable. I think calling here and trapping is also fine. We've already trapped once with pocket queens earlier in the session, and that kind of blew up in our face. I think this spot is way different though, because we just have a total lock on this hand. I think if he turned to flush or he has some sort of 9x, he's probably going to bet the river anyways. We still have an aggressive player behind us left to act. So after factoring all of those things into our decision here, we decide to just call and lay the trap. Unfortunately, the 2 players behind us find the fold, and we're now heads up to the river. The river comes the 8 of spades. Doesn't really change much. I suppose a hand like Jack 10 gets there, but I don't really expect him to be barreling that on the turn into 3 people. Kevin now sizes down here and bets the same size that he did on the turn. He comes with $60 into 240. We started the hand about $1,700 effective, give or take. A couple of options were rolling through my mind here. At first I wanted to get greedy and go all in, but after a bit of consideration, that just seemed completely and utterly ridiculous. I think Kevin's a smart enough player where if I go all in here, he's really only going to call me with boats. And I think he's going to have a lot of flushes as well as 9x still in his range. Those hands probably aren't calling a massive jam here. They will call a raise, but we need to be sort of selective with our sizing here. After a bit of thought, we come with a raise to $375, just targeting flushes as well as 9x. I think looking back on it, I can probably go a bit bigger here. I think somewhere in the ballpark of around 500, 530, something like that would probably get called by those hands as well. Kevin thinks about it for a bit. He eventually flicks in the call. We table our hand and we're good. He's nice enough to flash 10-9 of diamonds at the camera and yeah, just a cooler for him here. I think our decision on the river was pretty good to not go all in here. That would have been just a bit too ridiculous, I think. Anyways, we got paid here. Feels good to win a pot, and we're now only stuck about $700 on the session, so we're climbing out of it quite nicely. This next hand was one of the more frustrating hands of poker I've played in, I'd say, my life. Once again, we're playing 2-5-10, $10 straddle, 100% mandatory at this point in time. It's going to fold around to a player named Joe in the 9 seat, and Joe has 3 ducks. He opens things up to $50 to go, which is super big, but with 3 ducks, I understand where he's coming from. And now a player also named Joe in the 1 seat raises all in to $1,250. We've got some Joe on Joe violence here. This is a pretty interesting dynamic here because I think Joe in the 1 seat is probably going to be jamming here fairly wide, given that Joe in the 9 seat has 3 ducks. So when it folds over to us and we peel pocket queens, not a whole lot to be said, except I'm all in. Joe jammed for about 120 big blinds, so queens are going in here regardless. We have about 2,200 in our stack, so we're just going to re-jam here. I think Joe in the 9 seat is going to be pretty wide, like I already said. We jam all in for about 2,200. Joe with 3 ducks reluctantly folds his hand, and I'm expecting to be good here about 99.9% of the time. I think this is some duck game violence here, and I think things are getting a bit silly until he rolls over pocket aces. He has pocket aces. I leave it up to Joe, whatever he wants to do. Once, twice, 3 times, 5 times. We run it once. See for yourself.
Oh my god.
Chop?
So yeah, once again, I mean, this one's just a cooler. Queens versus aces. Money's gonna go in. These things, once again, had quite a bit to do with it. And now we're stuck $1 billion on the session. It's not been fun so far. Anyways, guys, that's going to wrap up the video today. I played for a while longer after that Queen's hand, but really nothing all too interesting coming of it. I pretty much put on a clinic today of how to just burn $2,700 in about 4 hours, so Stay in school, kids. All in all, on the day, we were in for this much, out for that much, and we lost this much. We played for 4.5 hours, and it wasn't a whole lot of fun. Things just didn't really go our way. It is what it is. That's part of poker. You can't run good all the time. I recently went back to school for my last fall semester. I'm a senior in college, so that's sort of why I haven't really been, this is my roommate, Carter. Good roommate, shitty poker player. I lost my train of thought again. I'm all over the place today. Anyways, I recently got back to school. I've been going to class. I've been doing schoolwork. Carter's just gonna open NFL game day behind me. Yeah. So yeah, that's why I haven't really been posting too much lately. I just wanted to apologize about that. It's been about a month. So for those of you who haven't unsubbed, I appreciate that. And hopefully you enjoy this video today.
I am subbed.
Fuck you, buddy. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to go down below, drop a like, drop a sub, do all that fun stuff. Let me know what you guys think about this style of video where I have like the camera rolling the entire time. Like I said, I noticed Sethi does it, my buddy K-Boulay does it, and I think it's an interesting touch. I don't know if I'm going to be doing it all the time. I like to show my face when I can. I am a pretty good looking guy, I'd say. So yeah, anyways, I'm kind of spewing nonsense now. Couldn't turn the sand into gold today, but you can't do that every day. It's just the way the world works, really. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and until next time, I'm Dookie Betts.